It's time to talk sports, it's time for the show. When you hear this song on the radio, it's time to tune in, better act fast. Let me get that Potograph. Potograph, Sports Talk Radio. Starting now.
Hello. What is going on, everybody? And welcome to episode 151 of Let Me Get That Potograph. As always, my name is Drew, or the DH, and joining me, my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, Scott Rappaport. What's up, dude?
Drew, what's going on, man? Just kind of recovering from the live show last week.
Oh, what a blast,
dude!
Man.
It's so much fun that I'm on like a fun hangover.
No, seriously, me too. And that show, first of all, thank you to everyone that tuned in. A lot of people watched it live, but also a very special thanks to everyone that came on the show. That was one of the most fun shows that I've ever done, as well as, I think, incredibly informative. If you have not gotten a chance to listen to it, there is so much information from so many industry experts on that show. There's so many tidbits and little nuggets of information that I think are just crucial and very interesting. I thought it was one of my favorite episodes we'd ever done. So thank you, everyone that was a part of that, because I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, I always, the funny thing is I always forget what a wealth of knowledge Tracy Hackler is.
Yes.
And it's like you forget because he worked with Panini for so long, but you forget that, he's like an encyclopedia of just hobby knowledge and business knowledge that he just doesn't get recognized for. And I really think that, he should.
No, absolutely. And also, for a while there, like you said, he worked at Panini. He couldn't discuss all that knowledge that he knew, the wealth of knowledge. He couldn't necessarily explain all of it because during interviews, there was so much other stuff he had to talk about. There's very little time for him to be able to show that and to be able to speak on that stuff. And now that he's kind of been freed from the chain, so to speak, and able to speak his mind, you really got some amazing stuff. Really, I thought Tracy had some just incredible insight into the hobby and in business and in life. It was tremendous. And you're right. He is an encyclopedia of hobby knowledge. He will go down absolutely as one of the most integral and important people of this generation of the hobby. And it's always a pleasure to have him on the show.
Yeah, I can't wait to have him back again.
Absolutely. So, guys, once again, thank you so much for tuning in to the 150th. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, it is on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as the audio version is on all podcast platforms as well. So you can check it out any single way possible. But, Scott, we'll dive right into episode 151 today because we've got an awesome show. We've got a wonderful guest coming on here in just a few minutes. So
for a brand new segment that we're introducing today, too, which is always fun.
Oh, no, absolutely. He'll be joining us here in just a few moments. Don't want to spoil that, but we'll dive right into it, man. And dude, there's a problem. I mean, it's always been a problem. It started with Cooks the 99. And ever since then, it's just snowballed. And you knew it was bound to happen, but bad breakers. And we got yet another one. Whether it be switching out cards, whether it be backyard breaks, doing multiple different things. You can do a laundry list of names of companies that have had this problem.
Yeah. And
so we've got another one to add to the list now, and that would be the Backdoor and Card Fans group. Card Fans Breaks, apparently is the name of the group, was doing a player break of Series 2 baseball, top Series 2 baseball. And during the break, he pulls basically the ultimate chase card that's non-autoed in the set. It's a super, super, super short print, kind of like the Pete Alonso polar bear where it's Wander Franco, except for it's replaced with the mascot head. So his head's replaced with the mascot head, and the name is replaced with the mascot name of Raymond. So it's the same as the Series 1 design. It's just, it looks like the mascot head's on Wander's body.
What they really did was they turned Wander Franco into a furry. So I don't even want to hear that. What was Topps thinking? They turned Wander Franco into a furry.
Yeah, seriously, put it like, and do anything different. I don't care, but yeah, this was a unique choice. I understood the polar bear. I thought that was cute and funny, but this is a little weird. So the guy pulls it, and immediately, obviously, I would be a little confused too if I didn't do a ton of research. He didn't know exactly what it was. You could tell immediately when he flipped it over, though. He checked the bottom of the codes. You could hear the tone in his voice change, blah, blah, blah. He then goes on to announce that that the card, since it is a mascot card and not a player card, and this was a player break, that it is quote unquote going to the house. And so the house is keeping the card. So we've got a breaker who 100% knew that this was a Wander Franco card, and it even has the Rays logo and everything, and decides to keep it for himself. I've got multiple opinions on this, but Scott, what did you think when you saw this?
So I kind of see both sides of it a little bit, because technically it is, it's Wander Franco's body, but it's not his name, it's not his card number.
It is the card number.
Now, personally, it is the card number. I do, the card number from Series 1, not from Series 2, even though it's in the Series 2 product.
Right.
So my initial reaction is, it should go to the Wander Franco spot, because technically it's on the checklist as a Wander Franco short print. So, kind of like the polar bear, with Pete Alonso, which we keep bringing up, that one did not have, I don't think it had Pete Alonso's name on it. I think it had polar bear, but it always went to the Pete Alonso spot. So I think that's the case. Now, if you were to make the argument that it's not a Wander Franco card because it doesn't have his name on it, then it shouldn't be something that should go to the house, because it's part of the break. If anything, and if you're not going to give it to the Wander Franco spot, it should at the very least be random to the entire group.
No card should go to the house in a break.
No card should ever go to the house. Now, there are a couple of exceptions that I would say where it does. If the spot doesn't sell,
right,
you still go ahead and do the break. All right, fine. The house keeps the cards. Yeah. That's really the only example I can think of. But that's it. So the card. So if it was a team break, there's no question the card would have gone to the Rays. But because it's a player break, it doesn't technically have the player's name on it. But at the very least, I think it should go to the Wander Franco spot, because it is technically Wander Franco's body. But at the very least, it should get randomed off to the break. If you just don't want to, say, it doesn't have Wander Franco's name on it, there should not be a card that goes out. Now, if there's an unsold spot and the team, and the breaker happens to, that unsold spot happens to win the random or whatever the case is, all right, fine. But as long as it's not rigged, as long as it's above board and they're doing it openly and they're not trying to do, multiple, randoms until they find the one where they win it. But yeah, 95% of the time, I'm going to say this should go to the Wander Franco spot. And the other 5% of the time, I'm going to say it should get random.
I'm going to say 1,000% of the time it goes to the Wander Franco spot, because multiple different reasons. A, the checklist shows it as a Wander Franco short print. B, Topps put it out as part of the promotional material as the Wander Franco super short print. So that right there, to me, it goes to the Wander Franco spot, but you're dead on. If you're not going to give it to the Wander Franco spot and people are going to complain and have this uproar, you randomize that thing off immediately.
Yep.
And nothing ever goes to the house. And that is, just absolutely ridiculous. And if you watch the video, and I urge you to find this video and watch it, because you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. At the beginning, I truly believe he had no clue what this card was. But as he turned it over and was looking at the back, listen to the tone of his voice after he has read that bottom code. It completely changes as he tries to figure out a way to keep it for himself.
Yeah. And he clearly knows what the codes are without having to look them up. You know, it's somebody who has studied the checklist and studied the, you know, the different variations. You know, they know the difference in the codes between the short print, the super short print, and the super short print.
Mm-hmm.
There is, they knew exactly what they had. There is no,
and if you don't, and look, if you're a new breaker and you don't, guess what? It's your job to find out, whether it's during the break, after the break, whatever. You figure it out and you do the right thing and you get the card to the right person. I mean,
100%. It's not unacceptable to, you know, let the video keep rolling and, you know, pop over on, or even if you don't finish even if you're in the middle of the break, you let the video keep rolling, you keep all the cards on the screen, you pop over your computer, you type in, you know, look for the checklist and you see what it is. And that's, well, sometimes with the phone, if you're using it for the video, it's hard to.
Well, I'm saying, like, I mean, if all you have to do is pull up Beckett, Cardboard Connection, Topps, Cell Sheet, anything, it's right there on it, you know.
Exactly.
Problem solved.
Yeah. Do the research. Takes it. Nobody's going to fault you for saying, hey, I have no idea what this is.
So let's figure it out.
Here's all the cards, you know, on the screen. I'm going to put my hands over here on my computer and look this up, and we're going to find out what the hell it is. Yeah. There's no excuse for that. But he knew. As soon as he saw the code, he knew exactly what it was. And that is just, it's unacceptable in the hobby. Breakers like this need to go away. If the guy is an employee of the breaker, he needs to be let go.
Yes.
If he is, you know, under orders, you know, if he owns the breaking company, or if he, you know, was told by, you know, somebody in the background, hey, you know, no, we got to keep that, then that's one of those breakers that just needs to be put on a list and say, yeah, these guys are bad for business, and we shouldn't, you know, nobody should break with them anymore.
This is just frustrating me a lot, because the backyard breaks thing with the Trevor Lawrence, this is very similar, of trying to keep in relation of keeping a card, trying to figure out a way to keep the card and keep it to the house. Now, I know the backyard break situation was different than this and everything, but in a generic sense, it's this whole idea of breakers, and if you notice, it's breakers that are relatively new. They may have huge followings and they may be big, but they're not established. I haven't been in here for 7 years breaking things like that. It's these new guys that for the most part that are doing this type of stuff, and this is a new thing that I haven't seen honestly since the beginning of the breaking days, whenever Oiler cards would pop up, and the house would always try and keep Houston Oiler cards because they'd say they weren't on the checklist or there's no team, blah blah blah. Like I hadn't seen it since that.
No, and that's why breakers always, you know, the good breakers always post the rules where, you know, they say, you know, if an Oilers card pops up, it goes to the Titans. Yeah. Because the Oilers moved to Tennessee, and it always becomes a legacy. It's the same thing in hockey. You know, a Nordiques card is always going to go to the Avalanche. Yeah. And this would be a tough one though for hockey though. Would be if a legacy Jets card comes up. Let's say you get a Bobby Hull card from the Jets. Does it go to the Coyotes, or does it go to the new Winnipeg Jets?
Well, I think you got to go with the new Winnipeg Jets, just like in football with the Browns. If you get an old school Browns, then
Browns is a different story, though, because remember, Cleveland kept the history of the original Browns, which became the Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you do that with the old school Jets unless you make it a spot. I would honestly just give it with the Jets, but you know, that's
the only real tricky one that's kind of out there.
Any good breaker is going to figure that stuff out before the break, or if something arises, they're going to solve the problem, not just say, oh, it's going to the house, and they're not going to try and steal, which is what this piece of shit did.
Right. So there's two ways they could, you know, again, it should have gone to the Franco spot, but if it wasn't going to go to the Franco spot, it should just get randomed off to the group, and that's the end of it. No question. There's no way that the house should have kept that card, period, because the house should not be keeping any cards unless of course a situation where like, you know, if you're ripping Bowman and, you know, you'd say base paper doesn't ship.
Well, that's different.
You know, but you're being upfront. You're being upfront about it, which is the difference here. If they were upfront about it and said, you know, if it doesn't have the player's name on the card, it does not ship. Okay, fine, you're upfront about it, but in that case, the likelihood of hitting that card is less, so the spot should sell for less.
It's just frustrating with me because, like, with baseball, like, I mean, come on, if the what's he gonna do if it's a player breaking its heritage or if it's heritage and Gypsy Queen and it's a no name variation? What? Because it doesn't have his name on it, he's gonna keep those two? A ridiculous excuse. The whole thing was a joke to me, and yet again, another bad breaker. At least they're finally showing themselves. But I'm telling you, dude, we're a couple weeks away from the National, a month away from the National. I said it a couple weeks on the show. It always happens. We're going to see more and more pieces of shit be revealed on the way to the National. It always happens.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. It's a year-round thing, but for some reason you do see it more, within a month or so leading up to the National.
Yep.
All right. And that is a great time to kind of move on to a new segment that I've been wanting to have on for a long time, and schedules just haven't worked out. But I kind of want to call this, Let Me Get That Potograph Gives Back.
There you go.
And we are going to highlight a charity that is kind of near and dear to my heart that is doing a huge event coming up in Chicago in October. And that is St. Jude Children's Hospital. Everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. Yes. It's one of those charities that you hope to God nobody ever has to go to and ever has to use, but you are so glad that it's there when you absolutely need it. Joining us today, we actually have a special guest. We have Mr. Ryan Hammer, who is the auction chair and member of the executive board for the Dream event in October in Chicago. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
So wanted to have you on to talk a little bit more about this event. And a lot of you guys know that last year you held this event in Chicago. It was the week after the National was here, which was kind of cool. And a lot of the dealers that know me and talk to actually contributed auction items for that event, some of which you actually won.
Yeah, there's a few in my basement right now.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool because when we had that conversation, you're like, oh yeah, and this, I won this, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gathered that one up from one of my contacts. So, I wanted to, to highlight this, obviously to highlight the charity, highlight what you're doing. And I also want to give our listeners a chance if they want to donate something. We'll talk about that, coming up a little bit later as to how they can do that and how they can participate and, make things happen to raise hopefully a boatload of money for St. Jude. Yes. So, Ryan, tell us a little bit about the event.
So this will be our second annual Dream event. Last year was the kickoff. It was actually the first event of that type. So here in Chicago, we have multiple different committees running different events during the year, and the pandemic changed that. So St. Jude had to get creative. What kind of event can you have during a pandemic when you have to social distance to keep everyone safe? And so what the genius idea they came up with is they merged three of the committees. I was co-chair of one of those committees, merged three committees, put on this awesome event last year. The Temptations were our headliner. We raised $1.7 million for the hospital because obviously during a pandemic, cancer doesn't go away. These kids still need treatment. The hospital still needs funding. So we put on this amazing event, and we're trying to top it this year. So this year it takes place on October 1st in Millennium Park again. That's where it was held last year. This year our headliner are the Pointer Sisters. So we're hoping that brings in a nice draw. So we're trying to top it. Last year I was basically unofficial assistant to the auction chair. This year I've taken over the reins of that role.
You're the assistant to the region, assistant to the regional manager, not assistant regional manager. Yeah,
exactly. So it's been awesome. We've already seen just the generosity of people with donations. One of the things that just was donated is a 1979 Mercedes-Benz.
Wow.
Which was just donated to our event. So that's going to be part of our live auction. That's going to be a fun one. So it's my job to in addition to my typical duties on the executive committee of trying to bring in sponsors and give to live and donations, is to wrangle in auction items and try and group them into different lots that people would be interested in bidding on, and raising money all for St. Jude at the same time, obviously.
And now the nice thing that, in my experience, and this isn't just with St. Jude, this is with charity auctions in general, is items typically sell for, let's say, because you're in the hobby, you're a card guy. And collectibles and things like that. So you know all this stuff. So, you've got something that typically will, sell at or comp at, let's say, $500.
It's going to sell for more.
It's going to sell for more at these charity auctions because people know where the money's going. They believe in the cause and, things like that. So something that may seem small, like, it's a, $200 signed 11 by 17 of like Magic Johnson. Mm-hmm. Typically goes for like $100, but it might bring in 500,
exactly.
At an auction like this, or you might bundle it with, Bulls tickets or something. I'm, just saying that because it's here in Chicago, but the LA office, if they do something like this, they might bundle it with Lakers tickets or, something along those lines. And all of a sudden it becomes $1,000, item.
No, absolutely. And, you mentioned the Mercedes and everything. I think that's crazy and just so cool. And I'm sure doing these events, you do get quite a bit of amazing stuff. And I know the hobby in general is one area where it lends itself to auctions and things like this, because our hobby is built a lot off of auctions and things and moving this type of product. So when you're putting something like this together, obviously you're getting everything from cars and everything like that. How much do you think, is sports related or sports memorabilia related? Is it a solid amount?
Oh, definitely. Chicago, big sports town.
Yes.
We love our teams here. So we often get people to donate tickets or suites or box seats. And it's so easy just to pair, okay, here's a autographed Anthony Rizzo jersey when he was with the Cubs, right, with some packages. So we break our auction. It is available online to anyone for the silent auction. Anyone can just go on the website and bid. They can register to bid. Live auction, you have to be in person. But I always bid on the sports stuff.
Yeah.
And that we tend to have at least like 15 packages for sports alone. And I've bid on and won a lot of things that you'd be like, why is the Chicago office getting this one? For a friend, I won an autographed Tampa Bay Lightning jersey. I won, they paired, we got straight from the Houston Rockets an autographed Chris Paul and James Harden jersey.
Wow.
Like 2 separate jerseys. And we paired them with, from the Bulls, some tickets to a Bulls Rockets game that year. So we get some random stuff. And you mentioned an autographed Magic Johnson. Well, I got an autographed Magic Johnson jersey that I have just sitting in the basement waiting to pair with something. So
you know what? I just brought that up because I'm looking across the room and I actually have an autographed 11 by 17 Magic Johnson. That's it. I'm like, I was trying to think of something that, that would be, all right, well, we could pair this. And it was like, ooh, Magic Johnson. Exactly. And like last year, like, why is this in Chicago? You guys had a framed Ted Williams jersey with an autographed postcard directly underneath it, which I believe wound up in your hands.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
in the end. And I just want to give a huge shout out really quick to Brandon Summers.
Yes.
Summers Sports Card donated.
Great
that.
Guy.
He donated a bunch of stuff. And I know Brandon really well. I actually just saw him on Friday.
Nice.
Great guy. Great guy in the hobby.
Brandon's one of the best members in the hobby and does so much for charity and does so much to give back. So,
and most people, and like, if you didn't know him, he's only 22.
Yeah.
So given being that young and giving back and all that kind of stuff, he's been in the hobby for a long time. So it doesn't seem like he's 22, but I remember when he was like 11, 12 and,
mm-hmm.
At the shows and things like that, he was still taller than me.
That doesn't take much. Jude's almost taller than you, bro.
No, that's a good point. No, I'm a solid average 5'9". Yeah, no. So I kind of wanted to, to kind of bring that up. So so you have met, you got a Magic Johnson jersey already. You got the 1979 Mercedes, which is going to be an interesting. I'm kind of curious. I'm definitely going to be coming out to the event, because it's here, and I've supported the charity for a long time. The people that kind of run the Chicago office have been friends of our family for over 20 years, and it makes it fun to go out. They do they actually do every year. For the Chicago show in November at the Rosemont Convention Center, they usually do the fashion show fundraiser at the same convention center. So it's been weird because I'll be there setting up for the show, and our friend Kathy will be setting up for that event, and then Sunday when they have the event, it's like, okay, my mom's here, so it's like, all right, well, my mother's wanted coming over and things like that. So it's we've been tied together with that for a long time, and I will definitely be out there October 1st because I want to see what this whole thing is all about. And it's last year's out of town, but this year I definitely want to give out. Now, for people that want to donate items or even write a check. Does anybody use checks anymore?
I actually just saw somebody get a check today. It was the first check I'd seen in years, but I saw one this morning.
Like, I have a checkbook. I don't think I've used it in probably 15 years.
But I did see one today.
But somebody wants to donate something. We have a ton of people out there that are not only dealers, but just people within the hobby that are very charitable. We did our live show last week, and Tim has that. The auction he's doing for Signature for Soldiers at the National this year with the Pat Tillman downtown PSA 10, where he's given 100% of that to Signatures for Soldiers. But we have a lot of other people in the industry that
Nate Burns, another guy who gives tons and tons back every year. That's one of the best things about the hobby and the people in it. Like you said, it's not just dealers, it's not just major companies, it's collectors, it's just run of the mill people that you meet in a Facebook group or you see at a show. Very charitable hobby and group of people that we are in, for sure.
So for those out there that say, hey, I got this piece that would work great with this auction, or that even want to write a check or go online and make a donation, tell us how they do that.
So the simplest way is any donation can be made via our website for financial. I don't know if there's a way to put the website somewhere where it's visible as opposed to them listening to me read off the www.
Well, we're audio only on this one.
I'll make sure to get
off
everything in the. We'll put the link, guys, into the description of the episode and everything as well, so you'll be able to click right to it as well.
Yep. Now, is this link specific for this event, or is it just the okay? So it's not just the generic St. Jude's event. No. So people will know that hey, this is coming associated with the Dream event here in that's in Chicago. And it's, people will know that, hey, Ryan came on the show and talked about it. And, this is where it's, kind of coming from.
No, definitely. And I'm willing to give up my cell phone, my email, any way to bring funds and auction items in, and even sponsors. If there's companies out there that want to participate and sponsor, we have a lot of different packages, options. We even can tailor make options if companies want to sponsor that aren't local, because most sponsorship come with tickets. But if you're out in California, you're probably not attending this event, but you're more than welcome to.
Hey, Chicago is absolutely beautiful at the beginning of October.
Oh yeah,
not too hot, not too cold.
Yep.
The weather, as long as it doesn't rain, the weather should be absolutely perfect for this event. Right along the lake. Millennium Park is just south of downtown, is absolutely beautiful. For those that didn't get a chance to check it out, the past couple of nationals or, whenever you happen to come to Chicago, it is a must see. The bean is there.
Yes.
You can see the bean. It's a great thing. So let's give out the www, on the website just to make sure they got it. And then we'll add it as a link, in the show description. That way everybody can kind of go, to it. Check it out, see what the event's all about. And then if somebody just wanted to randomly ship an auction item, let's say somebody's got a Tom Brady autographed football out there. Kind of give the address, to the office as to, hey, where they can ship it to and, who they make it, whose attention they make it out to.
Definitely. Yeah. So let me look up the address real quick because I know I can tell you how to get there.
I know it's on Cumberland in Chicago. I can tell you how to get there too.
Right off I-90.
I used to live in the apartments that were right on the other side of Cumberland.
Oh, really?
20 years ago. Yeah. When I came back to Chicago. So I know that area really well. It's close to the convention center too, which made picking up items at the National very easy, and then dropping them off right at the office last year, which is kind of cool.
Definitely. Yeah. To call this office Chicago is, but if you go across the street, you're in Park Ridge or Rosemont.
Or Norridge.
Right on the border.
I mean, it's that stretch. So when the city of, and this is, geography lesson have nothing to do with the hobby, but when the city of Chicago annexed the land to build O'Hare Airport, they couldn't have it separate. So they annexed this little strip of land along Interstate 90 and then 198 out. So that's why it's a Chicago address and not Norridge, Park Ridge, or Rosemont. So.
Yeah. It's right there on the border. So, but our event website is stjude.org, no spaces, /Dream Chicago.
Okay.
So stjude.org /Dream Chicago. And on there, you can find out how to donate, how to get in touch with us. And then our address for any shipment is 5501 North Cumberland Avenue, Suite 101, Chicago, Illinois, 60656.
Awesome. And we'll put all of that, guys, once again in the description of this week's episode as well for you to check it out. But if you are on the road, guys, make sure to send stuff in and at least check out the event because it sounds like it's going to be an awesome one.
No, definitely. Yeah.
It should be. And Ryan, we'll have you back on after the events just to kind of, give us a recap and an update and, tell us how everything went. I kind of want to see what the top selling items were.
I'm curious to see what comes in, just interesting stuff. I just always love, as a kid, my dad would always take me to random auctions and things like that because he'd go to them for his business. So he'd bring me in. Of course, I'd gravitate to all the sports stuff. So as a kid, I've always been obsessed with going to auctions and checking out the sports stuff. So I'm just ready to hear what comes in, and hopefully a whole lot comes in for you guys. And hopefully this is an amazing success because it's a great thing that you guys do 365 days a year, but this is just another one of those amazing events.
Oh yeah, definitely. And just so everyone knows, obviously any item donated, whatever its fair market value is 100% tax charitable donation. So that's always a nice plus when it comes to tax season. But yeah, I'm free. Anyone has any questions, wants to contact me directly, ask if it's something that can help. The answer is probably already yes. But I would love to talk more and touch base with anyone who would love to partner with us in this amazing event, helping the kids of St. Jude and their families.
Nice. So if anybody wants to reach out to Ryan for any reason, whether to partner or donate, something you can't find on the website, things like that, reach out to us, shoot us a message. Let me get that autograph, DM, and we'll go ahead and hook you guys up together. That way, we're not just randomly throwing Ryan's contact information out there for 20,000 people. They're like, and all of a sudden he starts spam texts and
we'll get you guys in touch with who you need.
Exactly. We will put you guys in touch and we'll kind of go from there. But Ryan, again, thank you for coming on today. It has been a pleasure having you. We'll have to go grab a drink, one of these days in the next week or so, just because you're down the street. And hopefully you guys will, kind of, take this to heart, kick in some good stuff that they can use to raise some money, make a donation yourself, because it's a very, very worthy charity.
That it is. And once again, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Awesome cause. And I can't wait to have you back on here soon to hear how it all went.
No, yeah. Thank you. Thank you both for having me. I really appreciate this as an outlet to get get the word out about our event.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep. Take care.
And welcome back, everybody, to episode 151 of Let Me Get That Potograph. Man, what an awesome interview that was, dude.
You know what? I love the charity. I love kind of what they're doing and where they're going with it. And the event is going to be amazing. I cannot wait to get out there and see that. And Ryan, is a great guy who has an awesome name, by the way, Ryan Hammer.
Yeah,
I mean,
Ryan
come on.
Hammer. Like,
he should. He should
sounds
be
like a badass.
He sounds like a UFC fighter, or somebody should be in like WWE or something like that.
I was about to say, I expect Stone Cold music when he walks in. Like,
we got to next time he comes on the show, we got to get some sort of theme music for him for that one. So, but yeah, that was great. Can't wait for it. And like I said, highly encourage everybody to jump on the website, which we'll post in the link, or reach out to us if you guys want to donate an item or anything like that. So,
and I think an excellent debut of a new segment, my man.
Yes, I can't wait to do more of that. I'm really excited to see how this turns out, and maybe we can do a lot of not only do a lot of good for the hobby, with the information and stuff that we put out there, but let's do a lot of good for the community in general and try to raise some funds for some very, very worthy charities.
Absolutely. Raise some funds and uplift as many people as we can. I mean, use this platform's always tried to be used for good, whether it be education, whether it be information, whatever it is. And I think this is another wonderful way. So I thank you, Ryan, for coming on the show. And guys, once again, I know we said it a couple times, but all that information, if you'd like to donate or anything or reach out or attend the event, bid on stuff, all the information will be in the description. But we're going to move on now, guys, to a familiar segment, and it's that segment that's taken the nation by storm, and that, of course, is Movers and Shakers. So, Scott, I'm going to let you kick it off this week. We got a lot going on in the sports world. Who's your mover and shaker this week?
So I got one out of a place that does not typically have a lot of movers and shakers.
Okay.
And that's Pittsburgh baseball. O'Neal Cruz finally popped up.
Dude.
And they had a monster game the other night. Unfortunately, it was against the Cubs. That kind of hurts a little bit, but
sure.
At the same time, I want to read a couple of stats that come courtesy of John Duffley Jr. on Twitter. And this was sent to me by a friend of mine who's a diehard Pirates fan. So he reached a top sprint speed of 31.5 feet per second, the fastest in the Major League Baseball season if qualified. He threw a ball 96.7 miles per hour.
I'm watching that right now, and that throw is the nastiest throw I have seen in ages.
Yes, that is the hardest by any infielder this season, and also had 112.9 mile per hour exit speed off of one of his hits, which is the hardest by a Pirates player this year. And he went I think he went, was it 2 for 5 or something like that? He had a double and a single, no home runs, but I'm expecting a lot of really good things out of him. We will see how well he does within that Pirates organization. They also have another guy, Jack Sawinski, I'm butchering his last name.
Sure.
He's already up, which is unusual because he just had his first Bowman card in 2022 Bowman.
Wow.
So it's rare seeing that. I think he'd been in the minors for a couple of years and they just finally got around to making a card for him. But it's going to be a weird situation where his first Bowman it's kind of like his rookie card too.
Yeah.
But he had 3 home runs yesterday as well. So Pittsburgh finally getting some of their prospects up there and will hopefully not do well.
Yeah.
Hopefully the prospects will do great. Hopefully the team just continues to suck. But that is my mover and shaker for the week.
I love it, dude. O'Neal Cruz, nasty, man. Hardest throwing ball, exit velo crazy on a ridiculous. And this is only on a couple of, a ridiculously small sample size that he's doing some amazing, amazing stuff in. So I like O'Neal Cruz. I actually sent Jude the video of his throw this morning. He's on vacation and I sent him a video and I said, son, this is why I tell you to use your body when you throw. Yep. Because when you look at this throw, it's picture perfect. His mechanics are amazing. His bat's amazing. The kid's a legit deal, and he did not have a lot of hype around him. There's a lot of people that are garnering hype right now, and he is one of those guys that is getting some hype, but he's still kind of hidden in my opinion. So I really like that pick. I think that's a good one.
Thank you. All right, who do you have for us this week?
All right, so my mover and shaker this week is none other than the one, the only MPJ, Michael Porter Jr. And Scott,
oh shit, is it that time of year again?
Yeah, and you know why? No, I'm asking. Do you know why he's a mover and shaker?
I'm trying to figure. He's not going to live up to the potential that
Christ, no.
that they put on him. He's going to have a problem with injuries the rest of his career, and yet for some unknown reason, and you seem to know the reason, but for some unknown reason, at this time of the year, people for some reason start buying up all of his stuff
every single year. Father's Day, I mean, it might as well be clockwork. When you hit around Father's Day, Juneteenth, whatever, this time of the year, it doesn't matter. No matter what, Michael Porter Jr. is hyped. He is someone everyone is prospecting on, and I don't get it, because this hobby, literally, if Zion eats a cheeseburger, his career's over. If Luka has 2 bad games, his career's over. If Ja falls down once, his career's over. If Acuna sprains his ankle, his career's over and his stuff down. But Michael Porter Jr. can go through an entire NBA career for most people and not play 25 games and freaking, no, let's collect. Let's keep going. So he's a mover and shaker for God knows what.
I'm still trying to figure that out. I have no idea. If you're buying a Michael Porter Jr., seriously, shoot us a message.
Please.
Comment on the post. I want to know why.
Yes.
I want to know why.
Why is he the exception to the rule that, I mean, the man has done literally nothing, and every single time it's, he's going to play. And yeah, sure, when he comes back, he has a couple good games. That's great. But then he gets hurt again or he gets shut down again. He's never put together long stretches of anything impressive. He's shown flashes of old. But, I mean, look at Derrick Rose. Perfect example. Derrick Rose on top of the world and then gets hurt once. And the first time he got hurt, everyone wrote him off immediately. He kept getting hurt, and I mean, you saw what happened with his stuff. I'm glad he had a nice little return season and everything. But with Michael Porter, this dude could Henry rug somebody, and he'd still be freaking collectible next year, man. I don't get it.
I don't either. This is one of those things that boggles the mind, and I understand that you've got people out there that collect some really weird stuff. You've got, I mean, I have a really, really substantial Paco Rodriguez 2013 Bowman collection.
Well, yeah, I collect Bryce Williams. I mean, I get the PC aspect. I'm talking about the amount of people that I've seen that are posting a list of buying money, and then giving a list of names, obviously a prospecting post, the guys they're buying in the offseason. MPJ's on every list again.
And maybe, maybe they're just throwing them on there as a joke and we're just not getting it.
No, because I've seen the sales. I've seen people buying them. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Someone has to explain this to me, because it literally defies all hobby logic and every quote unquote unwritten rule of the hobby that we have for prospecting, for players, for value, for anything, collectability. I mean, he's in freaking Denver. I mean, there's no reason for this, but yet again,
maybe the lack of oxygen up there is going to people's heads.
I guess, but yeah, Michael Porter Jr. is my mover and shaker this week. I have no reason why. I have no clue why, but he's moving, he's shaking, and he's going to continue to move and shake until October, and then he's going to free fall.
And speaking of that, Drew, you brought up something during your movers and shakers that is a perfect segue into our next segment. Sure. And you talked about the off season pops up and people start buying.
Yeah.
Is that still true?
Well, it was an age-old saying, but with nowadays, I mean, with production, with COVID and the production issues and the fact that the companies don't seem to be planning on cutting products or doubling down to catch up? I mean, there's so many problems to even print cards right now.
Well, it's hard to double down to catch up
when you
because
can't
there are
print
the
cards.
problems printing.
Yeah.
But there's not, but not cutting. And there's certain products you just can't cut. You can't cut Prism.
Right, but you can cut illusions. You can cut a couple to try and get back on track. But
I wouldn't even throw illusions into this mix because let's look at football. Football's been done for a long time. The draft is over, but Prism football just came out a couple weeks ago. Select still has to come out. Flawless just recently came out, and Optic hasn't come out. I mean, those are major products that are chased by a lot of people. So now all of a sudden, what is normally a downtime for that sport, where prices tend to fall off a little bit, and a lot of people do their off-season buying and off-season speculating at cheaper prices, they're not doing it because the products are first coming out instead of having been out for several months at this point in time.
Well, yeah, and it has a major effect on, what's coming up this week, the NBA draft. You've got an NBA draft coming out, a bunch of new rookies that are going to start hitting teams. And this is normally the time where we would all be looking at studying up on these guys, figuring out the guys we want, looking at the cards that are coming out and the ones that are already out, maybe some ones we can make some quick moves on, some guys we want to grab, some Prism draft real quick and flip, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That
old
old adage.
Point where Prism draft basketball is normally out by now.
That's my point. And instead, we're still focusing on the season's over, but we're still focusing on prospecting the rookies from last year's class in new products. So we can't even put our focus on the new players, because they aren't going to have cards forever outside of probably Chronicles draft, which will have 5-6 players tops, just to throw something out there. And then autos of more people, but base cards, it'll be just like last year, 7-10 players, and then some autographs. And then you'll eventually get another product. But you can't build up hype for the draft anymore unless it's a once in a generation type prospect. The draft hype, I think, is almost completely gone. It's just a new type of, like you said, no off season prospecting. But to me, the draft, which used to be where everyone picked like their guys, this is who I'm going after and everything, that doesn't exist anymore. And I don't know if it ever will.
Well, I think it's timing wise. The draft typically came out. They, guys picked their guys based on who their team that they drafted, and they, started going after their cards. And it started with, all right, well, let's go pick up a bunch of the Prism draft stuff that's been out for a month, and then we'll move into the Chronicles draft, which usually comes out afterwards, and then we start getting into like hoops and Donruss and Prism and the pro uniform stuff. But that's not the case anymore because you've got a situation where these products aren't coming out. Prism draft from last year just came out like a month ago. That is a product that I would have dropped. There's no question. Like if you're going to drop a product, you're already that late in the season, you drop the product.
Or just throw it in Chronicles or something,
Since, as far as the autographs go, you're not wasting the autographs because they're all sticker anyway. So regular Prism also sticker autos. So you just use those for that.
And I mean, Panini really does have a much easier out than Topps does on this, because Panini does have that brand Chronicles where they can every year alter whatever they want to do to be able to get their little bit of whatever it is in their consolidated version of a set, just to keep people's minds on it and to keep that intellectual property before it runs out in some cases, whatever it may be. But they've got that brand to be able to do that, to catch up, because I think that's something that is not hurting the hobby massively, but I definitely think it hurts the chasing of the rookies. Like it's, in my opinion, one of the most fun things of the hobby was always chasing rookies during their rookie year. Like that was always fun to me. You can't do that now. I mean, the basketball season is going to be halfway over before any of these rookies that are drafted Thursday. Basketball season will be halfway over before one meaningful product comes out.
Yeah, and that's probably true. And what they really need to do is they need to get rid of Inception. They need to get rid of Elite.
Yeah.
They need to get rid of, it's probably a couple other products, even Court Kings. I don't necessarily think should be a standalone product. Incorporate that into Chronicles.
Yeah,
because that's really where it belongs, and just make Chronicles a bigger product with more stuff in it to chase. I think that's the way to go.
You also make it more high end. I mean, not more high end, but you make it a little nicer. You put it into definitely a different tier than sitting on retail shelves doing nothing. I mean,
yeah, and maybe it's the right thing to do. Maybe it's the wrong thing to do. I don't know. It's just my opinion. But it needs to be how it used to be, where 90% of the products were out and released prior to the end of the season.
Yep.
And I know it's a little bit difficult with football because it is, as far as timeline goes, it is such a short season to be able to pull off all of that product within. You kind of want to keep it going all year and things like that. Yeah. But basketball is a ridiculously long season, and you have a better opportunity to be able to do that. And then you incorporate the draft products with timing of the draft and kind of go from there. Baseball, again, another ridiculously long season, and Topps really doesn't have a problem with it. They've been relatively on time. At least prior to the end of the season with their products, except for the ones that traditionally came out after the season was over, like Topps Update and Bowman Draft and, things like that were more beginning of winter type products. And then, Series 1 comes out at the end of January, and it's been, before training camp starts, and it's been fine. It's worked like that. And they've been able to keep relatively on schedule.
Yeah.
Panini hasn't been able to do that.
No.
And I think it's due to just the sheer number of products that they're putting out there.
I agree. I mean, Topps is focusing on baseball. Panini is focusing on basketball and football. And
when I say sheer number of products out there, I'm not talking about the fact that, they're making both.
No, I mean, like the amount
it's that there are so many products, for each of two sports.
Right. But there's just as many baseball. I mean, as there are, it's just Panini's not doing a good job of handling it right now, and I don't know the reasonings beyond that. Topps is the one that came out and announced production issues. But we all know that the cards are printed at the same place, so Panini's dealing with production issues too. My guess is that Topps's lead time on these was just a lot better, and maybe they prepped the lead times a little better. I don't know exactly what it is, which they did double down and move some releases a little earlier. Topps did kind of push some stuff out a little unusual than normal, like you had said, but Panini definitely struggling. And, you're really, really going to see it with this NBA draft. Great players in this draft. Wonderful players in this draft, in my opinion. I think there's going to be some great hobby stars in this draft, but I still think people are trying to figure out the rookies from last year. They're still trying to figure out who they want to collect from last year because the products they want are just now coming out or haven't come out yet. So it's a weird time. And I do think that has a lot to do with maybe not the demand going down, because the demand's not going down, but maybe the buzz and the hype not being as big. And maybe some of that, those negative feelings that people are having is because the entire way that we were conditioned to do the hobby, to love the hobby, has been completely thrown upside down.
Yeah. And there's no, I don't think there's a quick fix. There's not an easy fix. And it's just something that everybody's going to have to adjust to.
No, I completely agree. It's, I hope maybe a couple years down the line, maybe that changes. But hey, I mean, I don't even know if Panini, unless Panini is getting bought, which I still believe they are. But I mean, unless Panini gets bought, I mean, do they even really push that hard to catch up just to lose the license? You know what I mean? At this point in time with them, or do they?
Well, they still want to make. I mean, they're going to have to push hard because they still want to make the money.
Well, of course. No, I meant in terms of catching up to get it back to how it used to be. Like, is that on the forefront of their mind? No, because every product they put out, it's going to sell out anyway, no matter when they put it out. So, So, I don't think they really mind on that aspect. But from a collecting aspect, I think it's going to take especially the prospecting and especially the people that are big into rookie cards, which is a large percentage of the hobby. I think this is going to take maybe a year or so for people to get used to that new norm. And then I think you're going to see that new norm kind of progress and people get used to it. But it's going to take some getting used to, because it, like I said, this is a time where normally you're chasing all the new guys and looking at all of the new guys for next year and studying their old game. But yet we're chasing products from old guys that aren't even out yet. State of the hobby, and it's a sad one.
Yeah. And on that note, I think it's time to go drink ourselves stupid.
I agree. So yes, that is going to wrap up episode 151 of Let Me Get That Potograph. Guys, we've got some really cool stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. Next week, we've got a very, very special show coming out. Would you like to tell them now, or should we surprise everybody with it?
I think we surprise everybody, but I think we are going to, I will tell them that it is going to be another live show.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be ridiculously informative. And we have an amazing panel of guests coming on for this particular show. And it's not going to be last week for the 150th episode, we did this, it's kind of a celebration issue, and, just had the round table and just, talked about a bunch of stuff and things like that. This one is going to be a must listen and a must see.
Yeah.
When it's live, then obviously we'll release the audio for it afterwards, because it is going to be something completely different than we have ever done before. And I think
100%.
this is it, but I think it's going to be something that is going to be extraordinarily valuable to everybody that is out there. And I cannot wait to do that. And then we have another special live show that is not going to actually count as one of the weekly episodes. Let Me Get That Potograph. We're going to do things a little bit differently, because what a lot of people don't realize, Drew and I share a birthday.
Yes, we do.
I got a couple years on you, but we were both, birthday is both July 3rd.
Yeah.
Which was kind of weird. Is one of the first things we discovered when I met Drew years ago. And we decided that we're going to do a little something special to celebrate both of our birthdays. And I hate my birthday. I never celebrated anything. We're going to do something really good with it. And we'll get you guys some more information on that coming out within the next week.
Absolutely. So like Scott said, we got a couple of live episodes coming your way. And next week's show, guys, unlike any show we've ever done, but something that, like Scott said, you are going to want to watch this show. It is going to be so informative and just absolutely awesome. I cannot wait for it. Once again, I would like to thank our awesome sponsors, Vintage Breaks, Vanity Slabs, Card Ladder, and Card Crusade, and Show Your Slabs along with Slab Strong as well. Thank you guys so much for everything you do for the show. But till next week, you guys know the deal. Keep ripping those packs, pulling those hits. We'll talk to you then.
See ya.
Peace.